the irony or the coincidence thereof that I needed to, or finally decided to download this information today on Tuesday, which at work is a day that we call Treat Yourself Tuesday for the kids that I work with. And the irony that it's Treat Yourself Tuesday, because the more and more I move forward on this process of self-discovery, and I'm also ingesting the world in which I live. The overreigning theme or word that comes up a lot is just mistreatment, right? So we're living in an era right now where a lot of people are dealing with mental health issues, with depression and things of that sort, which depression is really a mood disorder, right? When we be technical about it. Um, and when I just think about the fact that we live in a society where the overwhelming energy amongst the culture and the population is mistreatment, right? I don't care if you watching movies, if you walking up and down the street, if you go in stores and see poor customer service, if you go in a hospital, there's just a varying levels of mistreatment. Like I went over it with my kids today, mistreatment, and I made them define it with the dictionary. And mistreatment is a big umbrella of a lot of other things and the definition that falls under it, and just thinking about how prevalent that is. Like every kid in my room had an experience of mistreatment, and I deal with little people, right? They ain't been on this planet that long, and they already have experienced mistreatment. you know, I even went around and talked to them about, how they mistreat themselves, which is, habits that we pick up with unawareness as little people. I will keep saying that, it's all about terminology. But little people, and they all had a way in which they mistreat themselves, which I do. One of my things is that I should probably have more than I don't. That's just a small way in which I mistreat myself, right? Just thinking about, you use it literally as the term is. You go to a doctor and the doctor treats you for something, right? If they don't give you the proper resolution, or medication for your issue, then they have mistreated you. That happens a lot in this culture, and it goes unaddressed for so many different reasons, especially in black and brown communities. Our healthcare system overlooks our real healthcare issues, and we are mistreated in an overwhelming way. You know what I'm saying? And it's like really having to relearn a lot of things about how we deal with the self and then how we deal with each other. But one of the real basic things is just the word treatment. Like we have people who have drug addictions or abuse drugs, and they leave and they go in treatment. A person who goes to the hospital, they have a treatment plan. We'll ask each other, we'll give each other, we'll say we treating ourselves to something, but not really looking at what that means. Even when we say that, when I like, what are you treating yourself to? I had one little kid today said that she's going to start treating herself better by getting more sleep and stop eating spicy foods. And this is a kid being able to say these are two things that she recognizes, keyword recognizes, because cognition is a thing. Cognizing is a thing. You know what I'm saying? She recognizes that that is something that she needs to address in herself, which is a beautiful thing, that she has that self-awareness, which is what I'm working on them with as I'm working on myself. Or anybody is doing the work of self-improvement or self-discovery, but something just as basic as that. Treatment. Treating yourself better, treating each other better. Who knows what kind of results that could bring about in a self, and in a family, in a community, in any space, if you go with any intention to treat someone properly. We talk about how doctors mistreat. We live in a system where we have been indoctrinated. It's all about words. We get indoctrinated in school, we get indoctrinated in church. Middle word, doctrinated. We have been indoctrinated. Has that happened, and given us the foundation that is going to take us further? Our results should show us the answer to that. I don't need to answer it. I have an answer or opinion for myself, but everybody is a self and can have an opinion for themselves when they just take a look, like a real look. That's a whole nother thing, our outlook on a thing. That's the thing where I'm finding I'm having a really hard time in my community, is because I do have a different outlook on certain things, or I have a different perspective. And oftentimes that gets me looked at like I'm crazy or just different, which I'm changing the way people look at people who think differently, because we all don't share a mind, we have our own, and we're allowed to do just that. Even though we live in a culture that wants us to be clones of each other, and if we don't think alike, then it's a problem, and the person who doesn't think alike is the odd man out. I'll be that. I like the number 9, it's an odd number. I like 7 too, that's an odd number. I like 3, that's an odd number. I like, and don't even get me started with the numbers, because that was a whole nother conversation I wanted to have, and I guess that's the problem with me and my communication. I guess I'm too short and to the punch for conversation that should probably go a little deeper, and then it comes off like I'm being, I don't know, not a human being. And oftentimes I feel like I'm not treated like a human being. I feel like my human beingness is very disregarded because I happen to have information and, a little bit of education I like to share and apply. And people don't think that I cry. And I do, because I get mistreated like anybody else. The only difference is I'm working on what to do about that. Not being in spaces where people are mistreating me. Bringing it to people's awareness when they are mistreating me. Stop mistreating myself. That's just a personal choice, which we all have those too. A personal choice for me, which I hope is going to bring about the results that I want to see. But yeah, I'm going to go a little bit further about the odds. I don't want to rush through that. But yeah, these downloads, I'm finding they're more and more important. I need to be able to store these thoughts. My thoughts are me. How I see. And who knows what could happen when we talk about how we see things once we know. And we grow.